Welcome to your magical moon message. This is the Peace Dealer. And check out the sun. The moon is in Sagittarius, and I always like to think, it's probably not true, but I always like to think that when the moon is in Sagittarius, the sun shines a lot more magically. But yeah, go say hi to the sun. Other than that, welcome to this ascended moon transit. This marks our 7th moon in Sagittarius transit relative to the spring equinox, equal day, equal night, that brought in, of course, Aries season relative to zodiac math. All right. And we are now post fall equinox. And from Aries to Libra season, every moon in Sagittarius transit that we have ascends our perspective relative to the language of the cycle occurring, which now with the moon gives us receptivity of higher vision. So moon in Sag is like a hidden camera that is on a plane looking down. You're literally having an ascended perspective, and ascended perspectives enable you to now gain higher insight relative to what you might be really experiencing, let's say on the ground. Getting an aerial view, of course, will give you a higher level of perspective, and that's where we call Sagittarius God level. So 6 months ago during Aries season, the moon in Sagittarius made mathematically a Sagittarius signature. So the ascended understanding took our awareness of our raw characters that Jupiter, Zeus, the ruler of Sag, activated. We conjuncted that this year in April, and that represented the leveling up of our character relative to what we do every year. But 2022, we were transcending because Jupiter was behind the sun. And in 2011, we were now extraordinarily completing our character relative to the last 12-year cycle, relative to the expansion of who belongs with us, our friends. Go back to 2021, because now 2023 was now this reinitiation. And the moon in Sagittarius helped us understand a higher perspective and philosophical vision approach of what we can believe about ourselves. It's like the moon in Sagittarius gave us insight to see who we can be, who we are. This contrasts 7 months later, 6 months later, Libra season, where Sagittarius makes a Gemini signature. So now Sagittarius makes a 3rd house instead of a 9th house signature. And now that Libra is the polished, balanced, harvested nature of our character, coming into Capricorn of the complete version of our character, high scoreboard. Now that we have taken this evolution of the raw potential of our talent and we are expressing it socially in Libra, Sagittarius is showing us how we actually express the attitude of this character. So the philosophy and the vision and the way of life of this newly evolved character has completed itself and is expressing a new attitude. You're coming into new thoughts. And think about this. The beliefs you had about who you can be, now that you have become that, you are coming into new ideas about who you have become. I want to make sure you kind of get that, because what's happening now is a completion of 6 months ago. And this is going to, especially if you look back 6 months ago, show you in a very short 48 days how much you've not only evolved, but how much more you're getting ready to achieve greater heights, because we are still harvesting everything we activated, integrated, coming into Scorpio and Sagittarius. So this ascended understanding is in the 3rd house of skills, abilities, your immediate environment, your neighborhood, and of course, relative to the hood, you get your lingo, Gemini. This is going to influence the way you talk relative to your town and dialect. And this also is going to represent the curiosity of a kid who is learning new skills. Hence the 9th house is teaching, higher education. And whereas 5th house is undergraduate education, 3rd house is learning. All right, learning any skills. And because this is an activation of superpower in Libra, this is the 3rd stage, final part of this activation, where we've activated the power, we've strengthened its intensity, and now we are determining the perception that we shoot this activation to. Just like the archer readies his or her bow and hits the target. All right, the Scorpio specific stinger that through Sag hits the target specifically. Precision of Virgo behind that. With practice, you're ready to perform and make your mark. So you're going to not only be coming into the final part of activating superpowers, but after Scorpio helped manifest the wisdom and deeper hidden knowledge or occult knowledge of what it is you actually activated, now you're going to see it. That's literally it. This is going to show you the understanding, Moon and Sag, of the superpowers you've activated. Science, pure math. And the best part of this is, by the end of the transit, you're going to see the extension of this. So, like, you either see it or not. And you have already seen it coming into yesterday where the moon has entered Sag, which now we want to talk about the dynamics of this perceptual shift. This is quintessentially with the sun on the south node and Mercury on the south node, ready to complete the Kazemi, preparing for a powerful epiphany as the moon will square Pluto in Capricorn, and you will now understand how to use these powers you just activated on God. And the reason why this is very intense is, one, we have Venus in Virgo and Saturn in Virgo. These two perceptual elements, one in the metaphysical with the karma and integrity of your beliefs, and in the other, polishing your behavior by applying these beliefs real time, are now being adjusted by the moon in Sagittarius. This T-square is what's going to apply this ascended perspective of seeing new abilities, new moon, new power, new abilities tied to this power, showing you the higher ascended vision of what to see this as, what to see the meaning of this as. Listen to any Libra talk. Go watch any of Will Smith's reels or any of Will Smith's like Instagram posts. Libras are artists who give you visuals. They know how to paint a story. Everything they say is super inspirational. This is why, there's another reason why they're super charming, because they could literally within like 5 minutes or 5 seconds of a conversation, go watch Neil, right? They're going to literally open up the higher meaning of what they're saying. And if you look at the analogy as an artist, the fire of Sagittarius is them coloring and painting this vision for you, hence bringing in that meaning. So the square to Virgo and the square to Saturn, the first part of this transit, is what is stabilizing your higher visual understanding of the metaphysical and how it relates to reality. And this is like adjusting a camera lens and now being able to perceive relative to these unseen influences how the activation of your new power also integrates with Venus and Virgo. Venus and Virgo is what's going to allow the physical mechanic of this new ability to ingrain itself in your behavior. And because Venus makes a 12th house aspect or 11th house aspect to the sun, this now is unconscious competence of new abilities, that the sun coming out of Virgo marked conscious competence, because you are first you're unconsciously incompetent. That was anything pre-Virgo relative to this year in analogy. Then you have conscious incompetence. That was when, of course, Mercury was retrograding in Virgo and the sun was finishing out in Virgo. Then the sun finished out in Virgo. We had the new moon. We activated new behavioral patterns, stepped into Libra to begin this harvest, conscious competence. And now Venus coming through to polish and beautify the new habits we just activated, unconscious competence. And this is why the moon square to Neptune is going to induce a little bit of delusion. Kind of like when you take laughing gas to inhibit your body so that you don't feel the pain of a surgery. This is going to induce a lot of stress coming into the square, because many of you are getting ready to harness more pure energy than you usually do. And you're getting ready to, as we usually do every 28 days, alter the perspective of your vision relative to, at a deeper layer, uncovering more understanding of metaphysical influences through your imagination and belief that affect causality, and Venus and Virgo highlighting these real patterns through your behavior so that you can analyze more of this causality, making for more unconscious, competent consistency. So that was the normal way to say it. We're not in a perfect world, or maybe we are, right? But like, things don't work out the way we perfectly think in our minds. So like, this shit's gonna be wild. This is going to be really weird, because now we also have the quincunx to Uranus, and as Venus is starting to trine Jupiter, this is going to start to facilitate financial revolutions that kind of bring in unexpected windfalls of income that may actually trigger by you losing money. Whether you lose or gain money, those of you losing money are redirecting to get you more money. Those of you, of course, making more money, you're taking what is already existing and working, and it's multiplying. But we're going to come into greater consistency. That's the mutable nature of losing or winning, just to establish a new status quo. And of course, a lot of this is really just going to be more based around your intention. Action comes after perception. So as the moon will square Capricorn coming into the next few days, you will understand the integrity of action you want to take before we move into Scorpio and now begin that next stage of breakthrough. So that means this moon in Sagittarius is not about taking action. You are coming into an ascended understanding of literally being shown new abilities you're activating. There's an exhilaration to this with the trine of Chiron and Aries that now gives higher light and understanding to previous vulnerabilities and previous aspects of your ego getting bruised due to pride or being attacked indirectly or directly, so that what used to be more painful to deal with or difficult is just that much more easy and flowing with this trine, because you're activating new abilities. And it's not like 6 months ago where you had to activate the mindset through Gemini and then integrate the behavioral patterns through Virgo so that we can build within our habits and engineer the lifestyle and routine that your super self lives. Now you're there. So it's time to show you what you spent the past half a year working on yourself. And it's going to feel really good. This has a lot to do with now 2 weeks ago, where the moon in Gemini showed you with that Sagittarius axis the philosophical approach of your sense of true justice. So you might think that you're a good person, but your actions have truly shown you're lawful evil, right? Or you're chaotic neutral, right? And this is where you had to commit through moon in Cancer, whether you feel right about that. Well, now what you gained insight in is what you're going to be expressing and showing. Whether through that new moon you decided to change or maintain that, you're showing this now through your abilities. Now, when you're in that situation and these abilities are activating, you're going to move in that philosophical direction, and that's where you're going to understand this new awakening of integrity. We started the Libra transit off with the moon in Capricorn, having you make a decision on, you know, are you going to use this for good or bad? Let's just use it as an example. And we're ending the transit off, revisiting this again to commit to that, or to go even deeper down that direction, or to transform in a different direction, because you have to at least be open to unexpected outside influences. Now, finally, we want to talk about the presence of the nodes. The sun is at this point past the nodes, as Mercury is going to hump over this. And so the realizations you make on this day, the connections you make on this day and tomorrow are everything. You don't want to necessarily treat them like they're just, you know, platonic or like, you know, mundane events. Even the most mundane actions will, you know, exponentially mean a lot more very quickly. So yeah, that's really all I want to keep in mind to your attention, especially with the quincunx of Uranus that's occurring here, which will also make for sudden awakenings and real-time social transformations and awakenings, okay, which will have you instill a greater element of extra dimensional energy converted from power that you can fuel into techniques. But I hope you enjoy this activation of new supernatural abilities, and you stay blessed as always. Peace.